Again, I'm going to welcome Darrell Hannah into our first Zoom inside of What's Next community. And what I was talking about was that Darrell and I have been talking previous to opening communities and all of that. And I had really expressed with Darrell the importance I felt for men to have a space. And I would say, I know it's over 50%, but I'm about 55% men have purchased from me and the others women, right? So I'm right about the 50-50. But I also recognize that there's a lot more women than there is men in the online space, digital marketing, right? So I wanted it to create a space where men have their own module, and I want to start doing Zooms once a week for men as well, or every other week, whatever you guys all want, right? But I felt it very important, for Darrell to come on because he's just smashed the digital marketing arena, right? And I wanted this, of course, this one to be open to men and women. And in the future, Darrell will come on and talk to some of you guys, just a guy thing, and I truly wanted that. So anyway, Darrell is here and he is blessing us with his presence. He's so busy. I mean, we all are, right? Right. But when you get to know Darrell, he's just like you and I. He's everyday person, and he came into the online industry, digital marketing, right? And started promoting for digital products, just like I did 21 months ago for me. And yeah, I've made multiple six figures. I got 15 streams of income, and Darrell can share his journey with you as well. So I do have a couple questions for you, Darrell, before I let you go here and give them all your knowledge. But I really appreciate you doing this for us today. I
Right.
really, really do. So one thing that you guys, if you don't already know, Darrell and I have a lot in common, right? We both were just hard grinders. We knew how to grind. We were workers, but we were also getting very burned out. And our grinding is what we thought we were supposed to be doing. We thought that was the only way, and that's what we did, right? So, between him and I, we're averaging 14 to 18-hour days every day for most of our lives until we found this. So, with that being said, I want to ask you a few questions, and this is pretty much geared towards men in general.
Okay.
But Darrell, why do you think that digital marketing or digital growth community specifically um, has more women than men? Why do you feel that the percentage is far less for men than it is for women?
Well, in my opinion, I think is just because women are they have children. Women are the nurturers. They're providers, and unfortunately, we live in a time where women raise the children. They are the family. Men don't stay in homes like they used to back in the day. So the women catch themselves raising the children by themselves, and so they understand that they're really the breadwinner, because of the situation. So unlike men, again, this isn't a knock on any man. Every man is different, but
Right.
men can just jump up and leave, and the woman has to stay there and take care of the kids. She has to. It's more than her. It's not about her. It's about the child. So she's always looking for ways. She's a step ahead. So she's always looking for ways to make sure that the children are fed, or making sure that there's a roof over their heads or something like that. And so I think because of that,
Right.
they're always a step ahead trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to do? I was raised by, I'm one of 14 siblings. My dad was a loser, was a loser.
Yeah.
So my mom, I remember that's what my mom used to do. And so I think that's why there's more women, because women, for some odd reason, they're most of them are nurturing. They have children that they have to provide. So it's not just them by themselves. Unlike
Right.
men, we're more solo. Most men aren't out here raising children,
Yeah.
feeding them, and stuff like that. So we just feel like we can just kind of do it on our own because it's just us. But as a woman, she has more responsibility, so she's going to be looking for more ways to try to get better and try to take that load off. So I just think the times have changed now. I really do. I believe there's no such thing as men being the breadwinner like it used to be, because
Right,
now women are making just as much more money than men, and they want that role. They want to be a high earner. They want to be someone who can, they've been sitting. They're tired of sitting in the taking the back seat. They want
right.
to be the person who is is getting rewarded for hard work. And I think, again, that's why I think there's more women, because I think women are just bigger dreamers, if I'm being honest. I think they
Yeah.
want more because of the responsibilities that they have to look out for other people, somebody else outside of themselves.
Yeah, and I agree with that too, because I mean, I was raised old fashioned, right? And I hate to put it that way, you guys, but it's the truth of it. I've raised my children, even though they're a different generation. I've raised them just like I was raised. My daughter changes her own oil. I firmly believe in 50-50. My boys know how to wash dishes. I mean, there's no separation there. But with that being said, I feel like men are still kind of stuck in that old way of thinking. It's my job to go out and bust my butt at a job. That's my job. So I think this is just my opinion, right? That a lot of that is still going on, even though it's 2025. And I could be totally wrong, but I do agree with you that women tend to be the ones that are looking, dreaming, like you said, looking for that extra to provide, whether they're stay at home or not, you know, myself included. I didn't know anything about this, but I will tell you, I've always made a very good income, and because I was making six figures when I had my daughter, my husband stayed home with her because I made a lot more money than he did.
Yes.
And we made that choice as a family, right? So I agree with you on that. I
And
do.
I want to add something. I think women are more prone to want to learn something new.
Oh
I
yeah.
think men are just, again, we're so old fashioned. We're so used to just punching the clock and working
Yes.
manual labor. And that's what we know. We're used to using with our hands, and we get stuck in our ways, and we don't want to learn nothing. And I think women are just more prone to being more coachable. I just think women are more coachable than men. I think they're willing to learn. And men are, there's some pushback, you
Sure.
know, all from my experience, the majority of the men have been the ones who are like, man, I don't know if this is real.
Yeah.
They have the pushback. I've gotten a couple of times from women, but the majority of it is the men. So I'm thinking, I just think women are more prone to be willing to learn and
Absolutely.
adapt than men,
And take a chance,
and take a chance.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So what would you say to the men out there that may hear this or are in here, haven't started or just have started, what would you say to them that would help them realize that they could just dominate this industry just as well as women?
Well, I mean, I look at it like we all put our pants leg on one leg at a time.
Oh
I
yeah,
can't look at it any other way, because
yeah,
when I joined this program, again, like I was online, but I was just winging it, right?
right,
I was
right,
just winging it. And so when I got inside the community, I remember seeing you and of course Michelle and Victoria, and
yeah,
I'm thinking like, this is my mindset. I'm thinking like, if they can do it, I can do it, right? I just knew that I couldn't come in comparing my chapter 1 to your chapter 7 or Victoria's chapter 5, because there's 5 to 6 chapters I haven't went through. And it is a process, it's a learning curve. But I guess for me, it was just like, in my opinion, I think it's just got to be something that you got to tell yourself, okay, I'm just really I'm really sick of where I'm at right now. I think
Yeah,
that's where it starts at. Like there has to be a switch that turns on in your head where you're like, okay, I'm willing to do whatever because this right here isn't working. And I think a lot of time we feel like we have to come from money or we got to be somebody special. And I think that's what stops men from doing it because they come in and they see people making all this money or just doing this and they think they have to come from money.
right,
Guys, I live in an 848 square foot small home. I have
right.
the smallest house on this whole block, right? I have a 20-year-old car. It doesn't none of that stuff means anything. The
Amen.
and I've just realized that as long as you're coachable, if you can listen, if you can ask questions, if you can show up, you're gonna make mistakes. That's just a part of the journey. You don't get discouraged. Just stay locked in and focused. And the goal is the finish line. It don't matter if you get there first, fifth, 30th, 300th. Like the goal is
Yep,
time, financial, and location freedom. That's what we all seek, and everybody's learning curve is different, right? So some people will get there quicker, some people won't. It doesn't matter. And that's why I love this community because no, like people have made more money than I have. I'm excited for them,
yeah,
right? That's
yep,
motivation for me. That should be motivation for everybody, right? Because
absolutely.
we all got the same program. We all got the same community, the same mentor, the same training. It boils down to us as individuals. How bad do we want it,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
So I show up because I don't want to have to go weld. This is why I keep this. I wake up every day and I take
yep,
a look at this right here because I never want to have to go back and work 12 to 13 hours a day, 7 days a week in a hot 105 degree factory. And I never want to have to be put myself in a position where someone can come in and tell me we no longer need you
yep,
or that's my only stream of income. So I show up and I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to be coachable and I'm willing to fail forward and I'm willing to learn from people who are smarter than I am. It doesn't matter if she's a woman, a guy, a child, kid. It doesn't matter.
I
I, I'm
love,
I'm willing to learn, and I think I think if you're like that, I think you can have some success. It doesn't matter what the gender is. Yes,
yeah,
women. This is a predominantly woman led industry. But guys, there's plenty of men in the online space in digital marketing that are having success,
and
So
you know what, Darrell, all the men that have purchased from me, I tell them, you can just kill it out here.
yep.
Like we need more men in this
Yeah,
industry, and men will gravitate towards you because of it, whether
absolutely.
it's macho man syndrome or whatever. But men want to buy from men, and that's the truth of it,
Absolutely.
right? So, like, yeah, get out there and just, like, hey, bro, quit grinding. I can show you the way, and I love that, right?
It's just going to come down to the connection at the end of the day.
Absolutely,
A guy, if a man can connect with you, they feel like there's a connection is everything. This is why the story is important. But
absolutely.
the connection is everything. That's why they're going to buy from you.
Yep, absolutely.
You
And
know?
I say that to anybody and everybody. It's connection, connection, connection,
Yep.
right? All the time. So, okay, one last question and then I'm going to let you have at it. Okay.
All right.
What is one big obstacle that you came across in this process at any time? And how did you get across it? How did you break through it?
Well, I'm gonna tell y'all this. I done had so many obstacles in the last year. I know people they look at it like, oh man, this guy, he's doing
I know.
good. Guys, y'all don't even know half of it.
I
I
know.
have had so many problems, so many issues, so many setbacks from the time I started to even till now. I just try not to focus on them. I guess the biggest one for me, if I'm being honest, was I was having issues with Stripe. I was having
Oh, yeah.
issues with Square, and I had a variety of accounts get shut down.
Yeah.
And guys, I want you to understand this, man. This is why you know, and for me, I'm speaking for me because everybody's not having this issue, but this is an issue I have. I've always had issue with Stripe. I
Yep.
can't get a
Me too.
Stripe account for nothing, guys. So
Me
I
too.
don't have the option of having, and this has been a hindrance to me. I'll put it to you like this. had I not had, I really believe this on my life. Had I not had any issues with Stripe last year, because I've had like 4 or 5. I've been having issue with Stripe since around about August.
Yep.
If I'd had any issues with them, no issue with Stripe, just nothing, I think I could have made over a $500,000 last year. I really do believe in my heart.
I'm glad you said that because my third Stripe account got shut down, and just my third account alone, over $70,000 was declined.
That's crazy.
And I'm just like, what is the deal with they were declining left and right, right? So I know what you're saying, right?
But
Oh man,
yeah,
you
but
made
what
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
but what I just done, I just, you just try. I was just, I had to make some adjustments, that most people don't have to make with
Yeah.
my emails, with my page, and just, tell and use other platforms. And even right now, I'm still looking for other payment processors. But again, like I haven't, it doesn't kind of set me back a little bit. But the thing about it, you just can't let it stop you guys, because the people are going to join you. They'll find ways. There's so many
Oh yeah.
different platforms. So that was my number one hindrance, right? And it was getting to me in the beginning. I mean, my wife used to have to console me all the time. She used to tell me, look, look how far you've come. Yeah, I understand this and that, but guys, it's all a part of the business. You're gonna have issues. I'm pretty sure Amy's unhad. I'm sure Michelle
Oh
has Tim, and we all,
yeah.
Victoria. Nobody really just verbally talks about them. You just try to just don't let it stop you. Just only control what you can control, and try to find ways to get around it or whatever, because you're gonna have those type of issues.
Absolutely, right? And we only see the good. We
Yep.
only hear each other, all the good stuff on the Zooms and in our
That's
videos and
true.
on our lives, right? Because of course we're not going to focus on the negative.
Yep.
But we've all been through stuff. Do you think that Darrell and I were able to make multiple six figures without any problems? I mean, come on. Like this is stuff that everybody goes through,
Yep.
right? It's we all go through it. So I'm so glad you said that. And I'm really glad you brought that up
Yep.
because it is important for everybody to remember whether you've made no money or you've made $1 million, you're gonna run into problems. You
Yep.
are. It's how you overcome them that makes the difference. It really does. So anyway, I'll just let you do your thing real quick and then yeah, go for it.
Okay. So, God, so I just wanted to come on here and say this. This is the beauty of having a community, because you get to ask questions. And, I created my community because I wanted to solve people's problems.
Yeah.
And I want to help equip them with the skills that they need in this business to be able to get out of the 9 to 5 grind, or just quit trading your time for dollars, and really know what it feels like to wake up on a Monday and your Monday feels like Friday. They're all the same because you have this thing called time freedom. And so when I've noticed, and I remember Michelle talked about this a lot. This is when you start asking questions and you kind of realize what people are, where they're struggling and stuff. And I just want people to understand that the most important thing in this business, guys, is your story.
Yeah.
Your story is the most. It's going to. I tell everybody this, Amy. Everybody has a $10,000 per month story. I don't care where you come
Yeah.
from. I don't care if you grew up in a two-parent home, one-parent home, if you grew up poor on welfare, if you came from a rich family. It doesn't matter. It's all about the connection, guys. It is all about the connection. People join people they can relate to. Your customer, there's a pain that they have. And this is why I want you guys, when you're creating content, you want to be focusing on your pain. You want to tell yourself, okay, this isn't about me. This is about the customer. Because the person we already in the program, they're the ones that, I know this may sound a little crazy, but your customer, our customer, they think they're the only people out here who's struggling. They think
Absolutely.
they're the only ones living paycheck to paycheck. They think they're the only ones who is underpaid. They don't even realize that there's millions of people out here. But this is the key thing. Like, your story is so powerful. And what's going to happen is there's thousands and millions of people who need to hear your story so that they can relate to your story and the pain that you've been through or you're going through, so that they can tell themselves, hey, So I'm not dealing with this by myself. I know this sounds like some kindergarten stuff, but I'm serious. This is how people think. Like that I am I'm not by myself. Like, Natalie, she's working long hours. She's not seeing her family, right? Georgia, she's underpaid, right? Mandy is tired of walking around on eggshells at her job, right? To keep her job, right? And so when they see you sharing your story, focusing on that pain, guys, that's where they're going to be able to relate to you at. That's where the connection at. The connection is in the pain. If we can get on in this business and talk about, yeah, you can make 900 a day, and guys, that's not going to make them move. That's not going to make them do anything. What's going to make them move is listening to relatable content that's got them feeling stuck. And so when I share people, I let people know, of course, when I use my hook, because you have to use the hook and the hook stops them. That's why it's called a stop the scroll hook. You use that hook. What I like to do is introduce myself, which, again, people buy from people who they like, know, and trust. And I always tell people this, even in my inner circle and in my coaching. When a person watches 3 of your videos, they should know who you are, what you do, or what you used to do. Guys, if we can't even tell people our names, how can we expect them to join us? They're just not, because there's no connection. And once you say that, then you want to just take them on a journey, hit them right to the point, hit those pain points. And I want to also share with you guys this, because this is the biggest issue that people have. They're like, well, I don't know what my story is. I can't figure it out. Or I don't know who my perfect customer is. Your perfect customer is you. The pain that you went through, whatever you done, whatever you were going through that made you say, you know what, I got to figure out something. I got to go. I'm going to go online and see what's going on. Whatever that was going through, whether it was you wasn't seeing your children, you were being overworked, you're working too many hours, your job had you stressed. Guys, all those are pain points that we probably don't think are nothing, but to the world, they're everything. To the
Absolutely.
world, those are the things that are keeping people from living their lives. And so when you in your content start talking about that stuff, that's where the connection is going to come from. They're going to be like, oh, man, I know exactly what you're feeling. I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about. So when I'm creating my content and I'm letting people know, hey, guys, I use my hook. I might say something like, man, years ago, I used to work a job as a welder. I was working 10, 12 hours a day, 6, 7 days a week. I stayed behind on all my bills. I used to be up at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning trying to figure out what I'm going to do while the wife's asleep, while the kids are asleep, stressed out. I used to have to take a pen and a notepad to the Walmart up here to grocery shop. Like, I was never receiving them. I was missing out on time with my children. These are all pain points. I'm not the only person that's doing that. The
Yeah.
reason why when I create content, people say, man, I'm a welder too. Oh, I've been welding for 20 years. Hey, man, I'm working them hours too. Right now, I'm working for UPS, RPS, 10, 12 hours a day. You have to understand this. Your perfect customer is not your age or a gender role. Your perfect customer is anybody who can relate to your pain points. It doesn't matter if they're 25, 48, 30. Like, I wouldn't create content and say, so if you're 47 years old and you're a welder, then this video is for you. No, I wouldn't do that, right? Because well, my story is simple. I used to work a job welding, a 9 to 5, 10, 12 hours a day, 6, 7 days a week. I missed out on years of my children. I stayed behind on all my bills. I was stressed out. I had tons of debt. I was broke. All those are all pain points. So when people comment, they'll say, man, I'm a welder. Relatable content. Man, I'm working those hours too. Relatable content. I only see my kids on the weekends. Relatable content. I'm tired of being broke. Relatable content. Different jobs, different gender role, different genders. None of that matters, guys. I think a lot of time we get caught up thinking that our perfect customer is, well, my perfect customer is a 56-year-old female who's working a 9 to 5 and she's not being able to spend no time with her children, or she's working 2 jobs. Do you not think there's a 33-year-old male that's not spending no time with his family and working 2 jobs? Right? So it is not that. Whatever the pain point is, that's your customer. So I want you to focus on the pain that you've experienced that made you pull out your credit card and debit card, whatever got you to this point, whatever you were going through that made you pull out that card and say, I'm going to purchase this legacy builder. I'm going to purchase this passive data pay blueprint, whatever. That's the pain you want to be talking about in your content, guys, because that's how you're going to attract your ideal customer. That's how you're going to attract them. And once you start talking about that, they're going to be like, oh, shoot. Now you got their attention. Now you got their attention. And you know what? They may not even ask for information. They may just go up to your link in your bio. They may personally email you, right? They may do anything as long as you're showing up, focusing on that pain point. Guys, they're going to ask you for information. They're going to get in your automations and they're going to join you. And I tell people this, Amy, I know this is me, but I'm like, guys, you have to understand when you create content, you have to make your audience relive that pain. You got to
Absolutely.
open that wound up and pour salt in it.
And
Because
that's, and I think, I think that's part of our success is that you and I have really shared those pain points with people, right? They know who we are. How do people know that I was in trucking, that I was working 18 hours a day, how do they know you were a welder? It's because we talked about it, right? It's what we went through, and we're just literally there to help other people get out of those same things because we know there's so many.
you got to get,
Absolutely.
absolutely. I want to say something. You want to get comfortable, get bored. You want to be so bored telling your story that it's just bored. If people aren't telling you, man, you say the same thing over and over. You're not talking about your story enough.
Right.
You get bored sharing your story because that story, that's where the connection is going to come from. And that's where the money is at, right? That's where you're going to make a lot of money. That's why they say stories sell, right? There's a reason why that's where the connection comes from, guys. If they cannot relate to you, they won't ask you for information. They won't join you. And the connection of you creating your content, sharing your story, focusing on those pain points, right? Your pain, because your pain is this, they got the same pain, guys. They're looking for the same stuff. We have the answer, but I want you have to focus on the pain so they can be like, oh shoot. So if it worked for it's happening to them, so let me check this out. Let me get this information because we have one goal here is just to get them to ask for information, guys.
Yeah.
We're not trying to sell them. We let the automations do all that for us. We just want them to ask for information. They're going to ask you for information if they can relate to what you're saying. If they can't relate, they'll never ask you for information, right? And so, Damien, this is why I tell people I get this a lot in my community. They're like, well, I'm getting a lot of views, but I'm not getting no engagement. The views don't mean nothing.
Mm-mm.
The views mean nothing. You can get 5,000 views, but if only three people don't ask you for information, it's not a good video. If you get, 1,200 views and you got 40 people asking you for information, that's a great video.
I've made more money on videos that only had 1,000 views,
Yes.
and I've had videos that had 800,000 views and
Yep.
didn't make me hardly anything. Right? I agree 100%.
Yep. So it's all about the connection. Connection that's equals currency. You have to focus on the pain point. We have to make them relive it, right? We can talk. We you just want to focus on storytelling is so important, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because see, when storytelling and marketing, guys, nobody likes to be sold. There's a reason why when we go to the mall, we go in the stores, right? And the first, what happens as soon as we go in the store? You got the little sales guy or the sales lady. She's coming up to us. We see them coming, and when they say, "Hey, can I help you?" What do we always say? I'm okay, or I'm just looking. I'm just looking. I'm fine. I'm just looking because we don't want to be sold, guys. Your audience, they don't want to be sold, but they
Yep.
will listen to a story,
Yep.
right? They will listen to a story. So when you mix storytelling with marketing, that is your message to your audience, to your ideal potential perfect customer without sounding salesy.
Yep.
Because without a story, you're going to be talking about making 900 a day. All they see is a what they call it a snake oil salesman. That's all they see. That's all
Yep.
they see.
And
right?
would you agree that even like on your lives, because I know for me, right, it's only about a quarter of the sales part of it. The rest is all storytelling. Because once you get into full on salesmen on those lives, people they're not
They drop
interested.
off.
Yeah. Yeah.
They drop off. Listen, you got to. I tell stories in all my lives.
Yeah.
I started off. I'll start mine off like engaging. Hey guys, put a one in the comments if you're new here. This is the first time you're ever, if you're catching me. And once a variety of people come in, I'm like, okay, so a little bit about myself. They're gonna know my story, and I talk about it all. My goal is to let them know that hey, you can be a little country boy down here from a town of 800 people, and you can still be able to build an online business, right? Just working a couple hours a day. But you got to storytell. That's got to be your main objective around solving the problems, right? I use myself in all of my videos. I use myself. I'm the scapegoat. I'm the person who's going to, hey guys, this is what I did. If I can do it, you can do it. Now, this is what has helped me get out of that situation. You have to lead them on a journey. You got to lead them on a journey from
Yeah.
the pain that they're experiencing that you've experienced first, because they want to know they're not the only person that's dealing with it. But when you
Yep.
get to talk about how you was working 12 hours a day, or you wouldn't have no time to spend with your children, they're going to be able to relate to that because that's what's going on with them right now. And then you're going to let them know, hey, I discovered this program and now I've developed these high income skills. I've been able to build this business using social media. I didn't have no tech skills. You don't need any of that, right?
And
And
I
now,
think everybody loves an underdog, right?
yes,
Everybody wants to hear somebody overcoming something. So when they hear that, like both of us, we were struggling. We couldn't
yep,
pay bills. We had kids that needed to go to college and we wanted our time back to take them just on a quick little vacation, if that's what it was. And then, we went from struggling to success and they want to hear that triumph, that underdog doing something.
that's why I tell them, Amy, 2 weeks, guys, I cannot make this stuff up. I'm gonna have to bring my wife on here and interview one
I
time.
love it. I love it.
Guys, 2 weeks before I've been in this program over a little bit over a year, like a year and a couple of weeks. 2 weeks before I found this program, I had $6 in the bank. And I had did a live, Amy, where I had even had my 2024 January bank statement. I had it, I
Oh,
did the whole, I showed it and everything. $6. And a guy was like, that looked like it's -6. I said, no, it's six. So I didn't have, and so, oh, actually, it was about 8 days. 8 days before I found this program, I had about $6 in the bank.
yeah.
I was doing life insurance, and I got a $400 life insurance check. We was a month behind the house, a month behind in on the month behind the rent in this house. My wife's car was about to get repoed, and mine was too. That's how bad we were. And when I got my $400 life insurance check the next week, I took 75 of that and I joined at the $300 level, right? With the installment plan.
Yep.
And my wife was not happy at all. She was
Oh,
not.
I can only imagine, right? I mean, I was working both of those jobs and I saved up for almost 2 weeks before I purchased, and I shouldn't have used that money, but I had
I
all the
had to.
I just
I,
had to,
my,
yeah.
my back was against the wall. I
Yeah.
had to. And I tell people, Amy, I started with $6, but I ended the year making more money in 2024 than I ever have at any time in my whole life. And so my point in saying is that it ain't how you start, it's how you finish. But it is important for you to get plugged in and be around people who are doing better than you, who happen to know a little bit more than you, and that's okay. I don't have any ego issues. I want to be in a room full of people who way smarter than me,
Me
right?
too.
Because I know I don't know it all. And I don't have
Absolutely.
any education. I didn't graduate college or any of that. But my
Yeah.
point is that if you can follow the blueprint and if you can just attend the trainings and stay consistent and ask questions, you'll get there on your own time, right?
Yep.
But you have to put in the work though.
Yep.
You have to put in the work. You have to understand what the program is, what it offers, just in case if people ask you a question. If they say, hey, what is this Legacy Builders program? What do you say? I teach this in my coaching, Amy. I ask my so if somebody asks you, what is the Legacy Builders program? What do
Yeah.
you say?
Yep. You know what
And
I do is I let everybody know, go to your own website, take notes on it, study your own website because that's where you're sending everybody.
absolutely.
And they're like, what? I never even thought of that. And I'm like, that's the first thing I did because I wanted to know the lingo. I wanted to know how to explain these, especially on live. I didn't want to look stupid,
Yes.
right?
I used to sit up in my couch in the living room. I used to spend like 3 to 4 hours just learning about this
Yep,
program.
yep,
I mean, you have to know if they ask you, they say, well, what's the difference between the 100 and
yep,
the 900? What are
absolutely,
you going to learn? Like, how are you able to make 100% profit? How is that possible? Like,
absolutely.
I mean, you just want to know product knowledge is everything, right? If you don't believe in it, I tell people, Amy, if you don't believe in it, why are we promoting it?
Well, and this is the thing too, and I think this happens often, right? Is that when you get down and out and frustrated and disappointed and you're right at that brink, right? How are you portraying yourself? And if you're not believing in it, then how can you try to promote it to somebody else? Because they're going to see through that. They're going to
Yeah.
feel that energy. They're going to know that you're not feeling it. So,
I say this all the time. When you're not feeling it, because a lot of time we get in a sense where we think we're not making no money,
yeah,
and that energy just portrays right through the screen,
it
and they
does.
can tell that you seem tense, you seem like you're desperate. You're focusing more on the 900 or the 600 instead of the process of what the program can do and the skills you can acquire to get you out of the situation, using yourself as an example
Yep.
of hey, this is how it helped me. That they can sense that, your
Absolutely.
energy.
I agree. I agree. And we may be at a different level and just only because we've been in longer, right? So now we're doing new things and we're trying new things. So it's kind of like we're going back to the drawing board and we're trying to add all these additional income streams. And that's really why I created this community because I want other people to not rely on just those four products.
That's
Let's add more
absolutely.
income. You need extra, right? And some of this stuff scares the hell out of me to try because I don't know. Like, I have a vision, right? And I want to do a podcast, but it scares the living hell out of me because I know nothing about it, you know? But
Yeah.
that's not going to stop me. It
Yeah,
will not stop me.
I'm just convinced we'll learn along the way.
Exactly.
I just
Exactly.
I remember Michelle said when she first launched the digital growth community, she was just like, she just launched it for everybody who had joined to just kind of hang out and get their questions answered. And
Yeah.
she probably never thought that it would turn into what it is. And you'll just learn along the way. Like you just
Well, and when I joined, there was only 868 people in that community, and there was only about 100 active.
wow.
I mean, I'm telling you, our Zooms, because I've moderated for her since day one, right? 20 people, 30 people on a Zoom.
That's wild.
And now it's like 300, 400, 500 people on a Zoom. It's just amazing to see
Yeah.
how many people this is affecting, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, wow, it's just
Yeah.
wow. But it's up to us to keep it going. It's up to us to want more, no matter where you're at, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So, do you mind answering a few questions?
No, no, yes. I'll answer any
Okay.
question they want. I
Anybody
got a
got
little time.
questions? Put them on the spot. All right, Maria.
Hi guys, thank you so much for this Zoom. I really love it. Dara, I have just a question because I think it's what really stops me to get out there to tell my story properly is that I'm ashamed of what I am. I, I'm really ashamed because like I grew up in an environment where you need to be independent, that the independence, fake independence come from the job you have. And I have decided that I wanted more, that I couldn't go back to work on a nursery because I would not have the energy. I wanted to be a mother one day, and I cannot be a mother naturally. And I know I couldn't stay there. But like, and so I tried something. I lost my money. I had to come back in Italy, and here I am, like trying to keep it up. But I'm really like, I had to deal with so much in my family because they were using money to manipulate me. I was like having so much, and I feel ashamed of the situation where I am because I don't have nothing. That transformation is not here yet. So I know it's gonna be there because I'm gonna do it, but I'm like on a.
So
That's
Maria,
what's
are you asking Darrell like what you can talk about, or
no,
what?
it's like how you deal it. Like if you had something like you feel ashamed of, if you feel ashamed of your story, that because it's stopping you, you're like, I don't want to be here because I feel guilty because I'm on my parents right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, how would you deal with that?
Well, I mean, that's well, believe it or not, that's a powerful story. You see, you got to understand that we all have a story, and there's somebody else out there that needs to hear that because they're going through the same thing. So when the people are sharing their story, you don't have to get off into anything like if anything that you feel uncomfortable with. I'm not gonna be like, hey, just go out there and just expose yourself. Well, you don't want to do that, right? I mean, if you feel uncomfortable, if it's to a point where if it's something that that's too like, I was on a training call one time with a lady and she had a death. One of her children had passed, and
Oh,
it was the reason why she came into the line space. But she's like, "Dear, I just cannot talk about that." I said, "Well, don't talk about that."
yeah,
Because like that's what is the whole point? You can't, that's different. You got to understand like it's got to be something. You got to find ways around it. Like there has to be. I'm pretty sure there's something else to that story that you can use that could replace that. See, we got to understand your story don't have to be. You don't have to have a story like me where you were homeless and you slept in a car out by a lake. Like, yes, that sounds. I don't look for. I say that. I'm not ashamed of that. That was my life. I really did that. I'm not looking for pity. Like that. That was my story, right? But the crazy part about it is that I've had people join me who were in the home. I probably done had over 20 people join me in this business. When they joined me, they were currently in a homeless shelter.
yep,
I had about 30 join me who were homeless,
yep,
plenty who got fired, who were welders. That's all part of my story. They can relate to what I've been through. And that's why they joined me in this program because if they could relate to my story and they've grown to like me, know, and feel like they can trust me. And what I have is a solution to the problem that they're currently going through. So you
yeah,
just got to find a common ground, but make sure that story still has pain points that you want to share with people, which is things that made you decide to come into the online space or come looking for ways to make money. So if it's uncomfortable, I mean, I don't know what it is, but I'm not saying say that because if you're
Uh,
uncomfortable saying something, it's going to show on the screen.
yeah,
it's because anyway, I grew up in an environment where money were always an issue. Always an issue. I had to build up myself multiple times, also financially with little money. I moved in London with 100 euro. And if I didn't come here, I would have been homeless too in London. So
yeah,
I had to make a choice, like trying to like say yes to this and deal with my parents' mindset and their pressure or just that.
Well, I
And
would be
yeah,
I would be saying that in my content.
Yeah, me too.
That's some good stuff. Like there's a lot of people who will be able to relate to that. Like there's nothing wrong to be ashamed. There's nothing ashamed of that. Like
Yeah.
I grew up in the projects. I grew up dirt poor on welfare, getting food stamps. Like, I mean, I'm not ashamed of that. That actually happened.
Yeah.
Like, my mom didn't have access to social media and the internet, and I didn't grow up in a two-parent home. Like, I'm not gonna feel pity for myself. That those are things that people actually out here who are ashamed of that are really dealing with. And when they hear you say that, that's going to give them hope. It's going to inspire them, and they're going to be like, "Yo, hey, can I get some information? What is that you got? Can you give me some details?" Like,
Well, and hey, Darrell, think about it, right? And I've talked to Maria about this before. How many adults have to move back in with their parents, right? They go through divorce, they go broke, they file bankruptcy, whatever it is. There's so many people that go through that type of struggle, and they're trying to find a way out, right? And I tell her all the time, share it.
yep,
Talk about that because there's so many people just like you that need to
absolutely.
hear that.
And that's nothing to be ashamed of. That's
No,
what happens to people. There's
absolutely.
nothing to
Yeah.
be ashamed of,
Okay.
y'all.
It's probably they make me ashamed because now you're 35. You should be doing something else. You shouldn't go for what you like. I'm actually choosing myself right now because I know if I stayed on a working as nanny or in a nursery as nursery teacher, I would not have the money to try at least try IVF.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You got this,
Yeah.
girl.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. We've got Kim in the house.
Kim.
There you are.
Hi, Daryl. Good to see you again, Daryl. I
You
don't
too,
know if
brother.
you remember me 90
I
days
do.
ago, but you were my first breakout meeting.
I remember you.
And at that day that I talked to you and you share your heart, that's the same day we didn't know where the mortgage was coming from. We didn't know where the car payment was coming from. The back was definitely against the wall that day. And I
Yes.
had just come in 2 days, and then Daryl was the first breakout.
I remember.
Um, so I appreciate you very much. You're definitely one of the 5 people that I've been basically like white on rice, to be able to create content, right? To be able to understand digital marketing. Very blessed with Amy being the mentor, for the last month and a half. One question I wanted to ask you, because I really agree with everything you said between the men and the woman situation. But
Yeah.
I think this is not something that is just here at DGC. I think this is
Right.
something that is across every industry.
I
Um,
agree. I agree.
so it's happening in the financial, it's happening everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
um, you know, I don't know if it's a dominant gene, a woman.
Well, it's definitely happening. You can look at almost any industry. When I was doing life insurance, predominantly women dominating it, and I know we were just talking about the digital
Yeah.
space. Amy was, but that's about true. If you look at almost all of these industries all across the platforms, they're all female dominant. And again, I just think it's because the woman has a bigger role than the man in today's world because she has children. And we live in a world, unfortunately, where men walk out on women and leave them with raising kids by themselves. It's just facts. And so men can just have to look after themselves. Women have to look after the children. They have to plan. They have to be a step ahead. And so they're always looking for ways. And again, I feel like the woman is more prone to be coachable than a man because men we're the macho. We want to be that's just how it is. And I think women are the nurturers, they're the provide they're the nurturers, so they're more submissive and they're willing to learn. They're willing to take constructive criticism without snapping off and their ego and their pride get in the way because they have a bigger purpose outside of themselves because it's somebody else that they have to take care of. So that's
I
why
think you nailed this, Darrell, right there when you said the women are nurturers and Kim, you can pipe in as well, but women want to help other people no matter
Yep.
what it is, right? Men are more hands-on, like you need to build a fence, I'm there. You need to paint the house, I'll bring a 6-pack of beer. But women want to fix people, right? They want to help, they want to nurture. And I think that that has a huge deal to do with
Does.
it.
And,
Absolutely.
and I'll tell you something else. Believe it or not, people are more prone to believe women than they are men online.
I
That's why women can dominate in this industry or in any industry because people
I
are
think
more
it's
prone to
sales.
believe a woman than they are a man, than they will a man. I mean, I know it's not, I mean, it may seem biased, but I'm not being a sexist. I'm just being honest because
well, and women are more open about stuff like that than men
absolutely
are.
they come up as
Yeah,
more believable.
right, right.
Well, I think it's a lot because your man comes to a woman, the first thing the woman may think is the man is hitting the woman,
Yep.
right? A woman comes to a woman, there's no hitting. I mean, even though we have a different world now, you know, but
That's true.
the odds is they're not going to take it as you're hitting me, right? Same thing. I mean, I think it's in direct sales period. It's not just digital. It's in direct sales period. People business is that without getting the mind in the gutter. It's also because sometimes men have their head in the wrong head. Sometimes they don't use the right head. You know,
That's
so at the end of the day, I think I don't think it's gonna change much. Um, why? It's because men are more systematized.
Yeah,
Women are more doers. So if you
right,
take that example, who is the systematized at DGC? It's
right,
Mike. Who is the doer at the GC? It's
that's right.
Michelle,
right.
right? And you're going to dissect any organization, you're going to dissect any communities, any industry is always the same.
It's like the CEO and the secretary, right? His secretary does all the work and he just signs the checks.
The doctor and the nurse, for instance, it's the
Yeah,
same thing.
yeah. I feel that. I feel that.
Now,
Awesome.
my question to you, Darrell, do you have a community that we can plug in? Like, are you launching a community or?
Yes, I do. I'm gonna try to see if I can put the link in the thing. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna see if I can grab it real quick.
Because the one thing I had to say from all your content, and I don't think there's a video I haven't watched yet on your content. See, a lot of people don't understand that when you guys put out video, like me, I've watched almost every one of your videos too. Is for us, we have to break it apart.
Yeah,
If you want the same results, you know, it might be a 2 minute video, but for me, that's a 2 hour video because I gotta tear it apart.
yeah,
And then I
yeah.
got to put it back together and see how I can relate, right?
yeah,
Well,
And
and as a
if-
coach, I do social media audits all the time, and that's what I have to do is it takes me a long time to break down and piece those, take those pieces and help somebody. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
and the reason I asked for your community link, Darrell, is of all your video, and you might concur on this, you've never mentioned your community.
yeah. I have. Yeah, I've mentioned it a couple of times. I haven't mentioned it. I've mentioned it probably like 3 or 4 times. Really, like when I first launched it, I mentioned it. I mentioned a couple of other times. I let them know like all of my like in my email automations. I've got in all of my emails. I've got a link where they can click on and get access to my free community. So, but I don't mention it in all of my videos, but I have mentioned it probably in like 3 of them. I mentioned on the day that I launched, and I think I've mentioned like in a couple other ones. But I did post a link in the description if
Yeah,
anybody wants to get access to my free community.
The last
yeah,
question I have for you is this. Now that we're going into the mindset that Michelle is building in terms of understanding the value of community and then building communities, obviously there's going to be an offspring of multiple communities within
Yep.
DGC. What would you do on your strategy? Do you drive people to your blueprint more than you drive to your community, or drive them to your community more than the blueprint?
I keep the community free. My community is free. Now I have like coaching. I've got like a one-on-one coaching that I do. I've got a VIP coaching that I've started. I've got a couple other things, but if you check out my community, it's all value based. A lot of the stuff that I give people for free, a lot of people would charge for this stuff. So, but I just give them enough, right? Now, if they want to get more personal, then that's a module that that costs. But the value that I'm giving them for free is enough for them to use that value and be able to really help scale their business. Because I do like a, and then I do like a training every week. It seemed like I have been lately anyway. Then I do like, or a Q&A. So I'm doing it like once a week just to kind of make because I pay attention, I engage myself inside of my community. So I know what people are having issues with, what their problems are. And I typically do like a training on that topic of if I catch a topic, like I think the one I did last week was on people were talking about what to say in a TikTok live. So I did a training on a live free training on, hey, this is how I start my TikTok live. These are some of the things that you can say and how to format it and how to lead people, right? Because a lot of people don't know what to say when they get on there.
And
So,
eventually your community will go paid,
yes,
right?
it will go
That's gonna
paid.
be an additional income stream that we all should be doing.
Yeah, I kind of know how I was. I know how how I'm gonna do it. I think I
Yeah,
kind of told you that. I kind
yeah,
of told
yeah,
you
we
before.
talked
So
about it.
that's what I'm gonna
Yeah,
do. But yes, it's a free community. It's growing. I
yeah,
think I'm pushing close to 400 members already. I
yeah,
think I've only had it for like 3 weeks or something like that.
yeah,
So it's
yeah, absolutely.
going
And this
pretty
is
good.
things that we can like I told my community, it's like I know many can't afford to attend the digital growth community builders. So probably next month I'm going to be teaching everybody in my community how to start a community.
That's good. Yeah.
And that's going to be included, right?
Awesome.
Because I can help them add that as an additional stream of income.
Yeah.
Everybody has great ideas. Everybody
Yeah.
has other things that they want to focus on. And I think that's brilliant. That's what this is about. Adding additional income streams. Keep it
Yep.
going, right? Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. All right, Mandy, you're up and then we're out. There we go. I think
Unmute.
there we go.
Did we go? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. My only question is, how do you, because I've watched a lot of stuff that Darrell does too, and I follow him. And um, so when you get, before you started making money, when you get down and out and ready to quit, what do you do to keep yourself going when you're not making anything and you're just,
I know where you like, okay, so because there have been times where my income hasn't been like I want it to be, right? You're just I'm not gonna say, oh man, I'm making 30 grand every month because I'm not. So there's times or weeks or days where you're creating your content, you're doing what you're doing, but you're not seeing any results. I think that's just a part of business that happens sometimes because see, you can't make people buy, but you can only control what you can control. So what I typically do when if I'm having a week and I'm like, man, I ain't even meet my quota, like, man, like my wife can kind of see it in my face. Like I guess I don't know if I'm pouting or whatever it may be, but typically what I do, I tend like I live up at a big park up here, so like I like to just ride up to the park. I like to just kind of get off to myself. I'll go back and look at my numbers. I'll go back and look at my content, see what I'm talking about, look at my engagement. Seeing if anybody's engaged. I'm always checking my content, right? And I think this is what I try to do. I try to hone in on I try to make all of my content just using different hooks and attacking it from a different way, but I try to hone in on the same 3 pain points. And I think once you do that, the algorithm kind of picks up on that, and then it'll start pushing your content out primarily to that demographic, more of those people. But you're gonna have stuff like that. Like I don't get down on myself really because I know that I'm showing up because I can't control if anybody joins. But if I'm not showing up, if I know I'm not being consistent, if I know I'm not going live, if I know I'm not on the mentoring calls when I can get free mentoring and I'm not making and nothing's going on, then I can't blame nobody but myself. But if I know I am mastering my 2 hour work schedule, I'm creating my 3 pieces of content, I'm going live, I'm doing this, then I can deal with that, right? And then I'm just gonna go back and see what I can make some changes on, whether is in my emails, am I getting engagement? Do I need to change up? Am I doing something? Am I saying something? Am I not connecting? I'm looking, right? I may go back and look at my videos for the whole week and see which one got the most engagement, not the most likes, or the most views, the most engagement, and then rewatch that video and then try to make more videos just like that, right? I try to do that at least once a month. I'll go back and look at all my videos for the month, see which one got the most likes, and I'll see which one got the most engagement, and then I try to create videos just like that. So it's just something you got to get out of your head, because we all want to make money, and you're gonna have times where it seems dry. There's been times where I didn't make any money for a whole week. I'm not gonna lie. So, but I didn't get discouraged. I just kept looking at my content. I'm just trying to figure out how to get better, because sometimes it's like that. Like, and then there's been times where I made $1,000 every day for the whole week. Right. So you just never know. You can't control when they're gonna join or whatever. You can only control the 2 hour workday. That's why it's so important to master that. You want to make sure, non-negotiable, your 3 pieces of content. If you're going live, do that. Or if you're doing a copy and paste, you just want to make sure that if you just want to make sure you master that. And then you just kind of try to look for ways to fix it, because you will have times where you're not, things aren't going your way, and you think,
And I agree with you, Darrell, because I think a lot of people are under the assumption, because we are six-figure earners, that we make thousands of dollars every day, right? It it's it that's there. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know anybody that has done that consecutively for every single day, but this is my opinion, right? Like, we go through trials and tribulations the same way. I think, especially for me, and I think you might agree on this, Darrell, is that when we notice a pattern of our sales going down or no sales, when we've become accustomed to a certain amount
absolutely,
in a certain amount of time, we're thinking outside the box.
yes,
Whoa, what's going on? What can I do next? What can I add? What do I need to take away?
yep.
What do I need to do? Right. So we jump into action, and that may separate us from other people that just keep doing the same thing over and over again, right?
Yeah, I'm always auditing I'm auditing my whole business all the time. My emails, I'm auditing everything. And I want to say this. I think a lot of time people, I notice this a lot. And this is why I tell people they need to add on to their automations, because most people only have the automations that come with
Yeah.
the system when they join. I think people need to have
Yeah,
a
that's all I have.
30-day email follow-up system, at least 30 emails. But I think they think just because you join and the system is automated and send out the emails, then that people are just gonna just start buying. Guys, these are real people just like us.
Mhm.
When we opt
No.
into something and it costs, 9 times out of 10 we don't buy it, and then so we're getting these emails in our emails from them.
Yeah.
This is the same thing. When you say,
Yeah.
"Oh man, nobody's buying," it's just like you when you opted into something and you done got 3 months worth of emails and you haven't bought that
Yeah.
from that particular thing. That's how your customers are. But you're still getting emails from these people, and then you may eventually buy, or you may just eventually unsubscribe them. It's the same thing, guys. Like, you have to build relationships. That's where I'm gonna tell you what I do. So outside of my email automations, I email my list 4 times a week. That's outside of my automations. They're
Yeah.
getting at least 2 to 3 emails, sometimes 3 emails in one day from me. If they're gonna unsubscribe, they're gonna unsubscribe because they're tired of seeing my photo in the
Then
picture.
they weren't buyers anyway.
They exactly.
Well, and in my case, I would just like a comment would be great, or somebody to actually be on my live would be wonderful as well. Um, I don't even, I mean, yeah, the money would be nice. I don't even care about the money. I would just like someone to either be on my live or um, give me a comment or a like on my video. I would just like something.
how are you starting your lives off? Like when
What do
you
you,
go live, are you putting are you putting a description in to your live? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know,
yeah,
when you,
I have a description.
okay,
It's the
now
same.
how are you starting your live off? How are you starting your lives off? Like, are you engaging? Are you letting people know, hey, when you come in, this is how I start mine off. I got this from Victoria when I first,
Yeah, I just introduced myself.
yeah, you want to be engaged. Like I'm like when I do my live, as soon as the countdown goes 3, 2, 1, I'm talking like there's 300 people on there. Like I'm like, hey guys, come
Yeah.
on in. Hey, come on in, guys. Let me know. I'm always saying, hey guys, let me know where you're coming in from. Come on in. Let me know where you're coming in from. And then of course, the little share button is at the bottom. So I always share that because I want to. It'll let you invite 15 people, or it'll let you send out requests to 15 people when you share. So the 15 people can get notifications outside of what your regular algorithm. So I'm always saying that. I'm like, hey, when you guys come on in, let me know where you're coming in from. If you're new here, put a one in me. I said, if this is the first time that you're catching me live, put a one in the comment section. If you're new to digital marketing, put a two in the comment section. And then while they're coming in, I'm like, hey, welcome to the call. Hey, appreciate you, Rick, Christina, Elisa, Natalie, Amy. I'm engaging. I'm engaging. People, they love engagement. And so I'm like, hey, let me know where you guys are tuning in from. Then they'll start putting, I'm from Florida, Kansas, Georgia. Hey, man, yeah, Atlanta. Hey, I'm 3 hours from Atlanta. I'm just engaging, right? I'm just trying to, and then
Yeah.
I'll do small talk, guys. I'll do small talk. You're just trying to engage to get them warmed up, right? And I'm like, I just love social media, guys. It's good that we get to come on this platform, connect, and hang out with each other. When I was growing up, we all met off in a barn, or we had to go to people's houses. You're just
Okay.
doing small talk.
Hey,
Because
Okay.
there's days that I don't even talk about the business.
yeah, sometimes I just do the Q. I
Okay.
just have a Q&A where they can
Yeah.
ask me anything. And
Yeah.
if they don't talk about the business, I don't either.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
and then once you start doing that, they'll start engaging with you. And put one in the comments if this is the first time. Also, guys, if you aren't following me, go ahead and hit that follow button. You're always wanting to try to get more,
I do that, but
right? And so once I get a certain amount of people on there, and then that's when I always go into, hey guys, so if you're new here, I'm Darrell Hannah, and I give them like about a 30-second breakdown of my story.
But
Before,
don't forget, you have to give them value. If you're
yes,
asking them to do something, you got to give them value,
yep,
right?
absolutely. But I'm always sharing my
okay.
story, and then I just take them on whatever, when I come on live, I already know what I'm going to talk about. I
Yeah.
never just jump on and I don't have no idea, I'm winging it. I know exactly what I'm going to talk about. I know I got all my tabs up that I'm going to need. I've got everything broken down because I want to know I'm the authority figure. You want to be the authority figure. You want them to know that you're the authority figure. You know what you're talking about, and they can sense that through the video. They can sense that through watching you. So it's okay if you do it and there's 3 people on there. I still talk like there's 200 on there. That's just
Oh yeah.
until you start your followers starting getting high, that it'll be like that. And they're gonna drop off, like you'll get 200 of them on there, and eventually they'll wean off because those are the ones those aren't the ones who are interested. But the ones who are stay on, they're interested. They want to see what you got to say.
Yep.
So it's okay if
Okay.
you got it like that. It'll be like that sometimes. You just want to be engaging and just always looking to build your following.
And it takes time. It doesn't
It takes
happen
time.
overnight.
It takes
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. I know it just sometimes I get in my head because it's been since
Yeah.
August and I've been going live for a few months and it's like, oh my God, at what point? And so now I'm doing a whole bunch of other stuff too. So I mean, I work usually 7 hours a day. And so it's like, ugh, sometimes I just get in my head. So thank
Yes,
you so much.
absolutely.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this up. Darrell's got stuff to do. I got stuff to do. You got stuff to do. Anyway, happy hump day. And Darrell, I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, it
And
was good. I enjoyed it.
I'm looking forward to coming and sharing
Yeah.
in your community as well, whatever, we can do on that end of it. But
Right.
appreciate you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All righty.
Okay. Bye, guys.
See you guys.